Obviously, found a way to win a game last Saturday on the road versus a conference opponent. Did the second half go as we wanted? No, but at the end of the day, you come away with a win. And you guys look throughout college football, just like I said, post-game, wins are hard to come by. And we'll never apologize for those, but the good news is you learn from them and you continue to grow. And we got to continue to get better. We understand that every week there's going to be new challenges. But proud of the guys' perseverance and resiliency and finding a way to win a football game. And look forward now, being 6-2, to host another conference opponent for homecoming at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. I know we're going to have a great crowd and great weather and a tremendous opportunity ahead of us. South Florida plays with the third fastest tempo in all of college football, so that's going to present its challenges. And their quarterback and running back are both in the tops in the country in rushing. Their defense is much improved. They do a lot of great things schematically, so we're going to have our hands full, but excited about the challenges ahead.
Ryan, Blake, as of today, looks to be on track to reach 1,000 yards rushing. How big is that, not just for the running back room, but for the offensive line to reach that milestone if he does?
Yeah, I don't, be quite frank with you, I don't really look at the stats. That's a great one. When I say that stats, individual statistics, obviously of opponents I do. But, look, he certainly has earned all the recognition he's getting, and quite proud of him, but it's a group effort, and he'll be the first to admit it. The offensive line is doing a nice job, the tight ends, the receivers blocking, the quarterback putting us in the right situations. But Blake is playing at a very high level, and anytime he gets any recognition himself, he certainly deserves credit. He's also playing at an NFL-type level. We're hearing from more and more NFL scouts about, okay, that's your next great NFL running back, and that's kind of what you like to hear. But just right, as long as he performs, I don't care if he rushes for 3 yards and we find a way to win the football game. That's all that matters. But he continues to show that he's capable of playing at a high level.
Before the season, you were talking about just some of the guys you brought in, the playmakers, Watson, Demir. Just how have you liked the way the playmakers have shown at this point in the year?
Yeah, and I think, every week we talk about different guys that are stepping up. Like this past game, Blake Watson obviously had a phenomenal game. Sutton Smith, I thought, had his best game, a name that we talked about, a guy that a young man that we're going to continue to rely heavy on, especially in the future, who continues to do great things this year. Demir may have not played his best game, but 2 weeks prior he did, and certain things, right? Joe Skate stepping up. Versus UAB, our tight ends were getting back in the fold. You guys saying how nice was that? So I think just being able to find a variety of different guys to make plays is huge for this offense. I mean, Rock Taylor continues to be steady in what he does. Kobe Drake. So the more weapons we have, the better off we'll be. And like I said, you never just want to rely on one guy. Sometimes in the past years we've done that, and that's been okay. But it's nice when you have a variety of weapons.
2 weeks in a row, you guys have had one really good defensive first half and one that I think would you say terrible in both weeks. What stood out among the bad whole time?
Yeah, so I'll like the first half versus UAB, awful. But then we played if we could just combine the second half of UAB and the first half of North Texas, man, what a great 4 quarters of defense. And so you go back and obviously we study and say, okay, what was the difference? Let's just reflect back on the North Texas game, right? Obviously came out and did some really nice things in the first half. That was a top 15 ranked offense, and we knew that they were capable of a lot of things. And in the second half, even coming out at halftime, right, you always say, okay, are the guys motivated? They bought in? Do they believe? Well, then our defense gets a 3 and out. And then I think part of the equation was, right, missed tackles in the second half. We gave up the explosive play. There were some run schemes where we didn't fit. We didn't, wrap up correctly, and you see them rip. They made some great plays on us. And offensively, right, obviously I think we ended up punting a few times more, obviously, in the second half than we didn't have to at all in the first half. And so more opportunities for our defense to be on the field, and we just didn't do exactly what we need to. We got to get lined up quicker, play with our cleats in the ground, do those things. Obviously we got the strip sack fumble, but then you look at what we did offensively, right? I mean, we had a 3rd down, we didn't convert with a drop pass, a 4th down, we didn't convert with a drop pass, 3rd down touchdown pass that we dropped. And had any of those, and that's college football, any of those gone the other way, maybe you're looking at a different story, but our defense knows, hey, we've got to be able to play a clean, consistent brand of football. Look, credit to North Texas, UAB, those are two, on paper, those are 2 really good offenses. And we've got to find a way now to play collectively for 4 quarters.
Last year you were 0-4 in these close one-score games. This year you're winning them like this last one. Is there a maturation process with this ball club, maybe Hennigan, that you're winning these now?
I think that's part of it. You know, you talk to any coach, and they always talk about finding ways to win games, right? And however that looks, and the belief that you're able to do so. And I think, you know, going back again, don't want to harp on last year's, I mentioned this in the post-game press conferences. You know, last year we had one of the youngest teams in college football. Now, I don't know where we rank age-wise, all that, but your quarterback is now a true junior, right? You get guys, Blake Watson's played it, right? Joe Skates has played a lot of football. Guys that now, okay, they're one, and I think that was one of the questions was asked, like, okay, that 2-minute drive, that situation, everybody just seemed really calm and like, okay, here we go. And I think that's part of it. And what I loved is, you know, yesterday meeting with the team, I said, okay, understand that exact 2-minute situation. We actually practiced something very similar that week. Okay, so our situation on Wednesday's practice, which we do a 2-minute situation, was 40 seconds. Offense had 2 timeouts. Okay, now we were down a field goal, so we were down 2 points, so a field goal would have won the game. Obviously, on Saturday, we needed a touchdown to win the game. But instead, we're just 7 yards difference. Other than that, we practiced that exact situation. So you go out there before the 2-minute situation. Okay, hey guys, this is Wednesday's practice, but we're 7 yards further back, and we need a touchdown to win the game. And so our guys are like, okay, cool, let's go play ball. And I think that is something you get with a mature team, a confident team that believes in what they do. And we continue to practice at a high level and continue to push. And, you know, we talk about, man, maybe last year the ball didn't always bounce your way. We talked about the Cotton Bowl. Man, the ball bounced your way a lot of those years. And it's just, you know, playing good sound football and doing things the right way. I think sometimes things favor you, and obviously find ways to win games is hard, but we continue to do so.
Can you put your finger on why in the final drive those receivers, the concentration was so good that they're making catches, and then during the game, big leads, chances to blow it away, there's drops in the hands, easier catches you would think. Is it all about concentration, knowing it was do or die on that last drive, and why do you think there's the lack of execution throughout the whole game?
I'd say 18 to 24-year-old males, right? The focus level for 60 minutes is hard for anybody, but no. If you will look to the sideline, it wasn't like we were dancing around and not focused and dialed in, and that was just part of it. I mean, drops occur. Obviously, we've got to get rid of them, right, because they're occurring at critical times. And obviously, that last drive, they made some fantastic catches, which was huge. I'll leave her a message. All right, and but all that being said, I just think, you know, I don't know if it was a lack of focus, but that's one of those things we talk about. We talk about sustaining energy for 4 quarters. We talk about sustaining focus, and that's great, you know. And I don't think we lapse, but we talk about, guess what, momentum in college football is real. You know, momentum. You watch any game, any Saturday, momentum. And so I don't think our guys lost the focus, but how do I replicate that during practice, right? How do we find ways to say, okay, guys, hey, now we're going in the second half. Now we're going in the fourth quarter. And we've tried to do that to the best of our ability, but nothing absolutely has it, right? Maybe we got to challenge our guys to get more catches on the jugs post-practice, all those different things. And we're going to continue to push in that direction. There's no one exact answer. You know, maybe every individual is different. It's not like they were, when I went out, they ran the right route concept. You know, the throws seemed pretty good, but, you know, drops occur, we've got to get them out of our system.
Now that you are bowl eligible, it would be easy for most coaches to lay off the gas and know that we've made it. What advice have you given your team to just keep on going so they can get to a more higher profile bowl game?
Yeah, we didn't even talk about a bowl game. We're 6-2. All I truly yesterday focused on, hey, here are the things from the game, the good and the bad, things we got to work on. And 1,000% of our focus is, we're not even talking about bowl games. How do we go 1-0 this week? Because the most important game of our season is South Florida. And we've got to bring it, because we know that every team in our conference is capable of winning football games. We're capable of winning games. We're capable of losing games. So we're going to have to be as dialed in and detailed as we can. Like I said, we're just going to play one game at a time, 1 week at a time, and we're going to look up at the end of the season, see where our record is, see where that puts us, and figure it all out.
This is the 10th season y'all have been to a bowl game. Y'all are right up there with the likes of Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. What does that mean to this program that a non-Power 5 conference can still have long-term success?
Well, I do think that's true for the history. I'm excited to see, right, 10 straight years of going to bowl games. That's a big deal. considering a few short years before I got here, there was articles about dropping the football program. And now all of a sudden you're going to your 10th straight bowl game and people want more, which I love. I love the fact that our fans want more. I love the fact that people are saying you should be undefeated. That is a wonderful thing. I appreciate people wanting that. But literally, just a few short years before I got here, people were talking about getting rid of the Memphis football program. Now we're going to 10 straight bowl games. We talked about that being our minimum expectation, which is a wonderful thing. That means we expect great things within our program. We've got to continue to elevate our program on a national stage, and the best way we know how to do is handling our business on and off the field, and that'll take care of itself.
You mentioned after the game, we're on the plane right back. I guarantee you guys will be coming out. We're going to pick things out. There was a lot. What are some of the things that you picked out from the second half?
Yeah, I mean, you looked at, right, obviously the drops are on offense, the glaring things that, man, we had to do. And we've got to be better. We looked at, short yards, the conversions, like the short yards, how are we not getting them? What do we got to do? Is it blocking assignments? Is it scheme? Is it the ball carrier? What are those things we've got to find out, right, from an offensive standpoint in order to go out there and execute? I thought special teams, right, we still got to figure out our kickoffs. I mean, I think our kickoffs are still falling short. Obviously, Tanner's done a nice job, but we're not where we need to be like we were at the beginning of the season in our kickoff team. And then defensively, like I said, giving up the explosive play. And I'll be darned if we weren't, I challenged our defensive staff to let's get the call in quicker. Let's get us lined up a little bit faster. Let's go execute and play ball. But the missed tackles and finding ourselves in opportune situations and not making plays on the ball cost us. And it allowed them to come back in a dangerous offense. And we didn't handle our business. So all those things we were able to show our guys were great. There was nobody saying, man, no. They understand. And that's what's special about this group, because a lot of times in the past you try to coach a kid, hey, this is what we've got to get better at. It's hard to buy it. And I think a lot of coaches throughout college football now are sitting there just trying to pull their guys to the finish line, whereas how do we get better this week? And our guys, Jonah, they understood that there were mistakes that were made, and they got to get fixed, and that's why we got practice this week, so we don't go make those mistakes on Saturday.
You won't say I will.
Earlier, you mentioned Rock earlier. I think maybe he came out of that game a little banged up. Is his status in doubt for this week at all?
I think he's going to go. I can't say 1,000% certain, but we do believe that Rock will be good, and I don't mind touching on the rest of the injuries. Jonah Gamble's day-to-day. Obviously he didn't make the trip, but we're hopeful he's doing a great job in his rehabilitation, that maybe he has the ability to go. If he can, that, as we know, that moves the offensive line a little bit more. We've got expectations that Greg Rubin will be able to participate. Obviously, that's back-to-back games that Greg wasn't able to go. You looked at it, even in that game, we were on one of our fourth-string safeties.
Definitely Cam Smith.
And Cam Smith was a little dinged up. So, but all those guys, we have full expectations to be back. And then Tristan Vandenberg, obviously, we've got to get him fully healthy, as mentioned on the kickoffs, and see where we're at. So.
Sorry, one more. Matt Connors went out for a little bit of play and came back with that.
He's good to go.
You won't say it, I will. USF was in the dumps for a while. This year looks like they are building something. What have you made of them and what Coach Golish has done his first year there?
Yeah, I mean, I've known Coach Golish for a long time, and we've known we always know what those programs, you talk about it all the time, like what South Florida is capable of, right? Being a Florida native myself, we got to see firsthand the rise of Central Florida, right? That now the largest school in the entire country, what they're able to do. And we always knew that South Florida was one of those sleeping giants. If they ever got it going, they had the ability. And you look out there on the field, and you're like, holy cow, they got players. Obviously, they've done a fantastic job in the transfer portal. What they're doing schematically is great. Coach Golish has had a lot of success at a lot of spots he's been, coached against them. And he understands what it's going to take, and credit to them. They're doing a really nice job down there. Obviously, you don't never want to root for a guy. Obviously, you root for them after you play them, and then however else it unfolds in the conference. But they're doing a great job, and credit to them. They're going to bring it. I mean, they're coming off a bye week again, so thanks for our conference again for giving another team a bye week prior to playing us. So I'm sure we'll have to prepare for some unique things as well.
How's their offense differ than last week in North Texas?
So North Texas did play with some tempo, but not to the speed we're going to see. I mean, this is a TV copy doesn't even do it justice of what you're seeing from South Florida. I mean, to be the third fastest offense, and I think the first is Tennessee, right? The same, and it may be a half a second difference. And they're getting lined up and playing quick, and they're explosive. And everyone says, oh, they just throwing the ball deep all the time. No, I mean, their quarterback and their running back are tops, wherever statistically in the top, at 50 in rushing. And to have those two, that means they're able to run the ball effectively and do those things. So we're just going to see a variety of different things. It's one of those, fast-paced, and that's where they get you. Because if you don't get the call and you don't get set, your eyes are bad, boom, big play, explosive capabilities. They got a lot of athletes. North Texas had a lot of athletes, but we know those South Florida boys, they can roll. They got a lot of speed. And, I know we didn't ask, but their defenses, this will be, besides Missouri, this will be the longest and most athletic defense we've seen. They're learning to play in their scheme, but, man, they've got length. They can run, they can hit.
On pace, North Texas ran 76 plays a game. You know offhand how many USF runs?
I don't. That's a great question. That will be, as I continue to go through my game plan today, I'll get a feel for that. It is interesting. We talked about, and not to harp on last week's game, but since those questions come up, someone sent me the statistic, and I think we discussed it last week about, our consecutive streak of leading the country with 21 points or more. Well, the team behind us, North Texas. And so it's not like we're sitting there playing these offenses that are, stagnant. I mean, they put up a lot of points. They're going to continue to. Their head coach is known to be, Eric Morris, an offensive guru. Obviously, he did success at Incarnate Word, and then at Washington State as the OC, and then Alex Golish. I mean, we know what he's capable of, and obviously to be able to get a head job from his OC days at UCF in Tennessee, he clearly knows what he's doing.
Do you sense the identity of the league is changing with all these new teams? Like, does it feel like you're coaching in a new league almost?
Sometimes, right? You get a feel. So I went back, and Todd Orlando, the D coordinator at South Florida, was at Houston in 2015, 2016. So I went back and studied our game versus him in 2016. I'm sure they'll watch this and start taking notes on that, but and just to see what they're doing. But at one point you always knew, okay, you get a feel for things. But it's so unique, right? The refs always give me a hard time, like, Coach, this is your 8th year in the conference. Like you and Fritz are the old guys here now, and you get a feel, like, I know where I'm supposed to be sitting in this locker room. I know what the layout of this field. And then the identity of the teams, it is a little bit different, right? You're seeing some of these explosive offenses, but we've seen the ebbs and flows of this conference, and we've seen it. When we first got in the conference, right, Cincinnati had won one game, and their offensive coordinator, they were last in the conference in offense. Their offensive coordinator is now the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, right? When I first got to Memphis, and no one ever thought that Tulane would be where they're at, but what they're able to do, you just get to see and conference turnover, it's quite unique. I think what's going to end up happening, because when in the season you're just so focused, I think, Mark, that'll be a fun conversation, in the offseason, like, okay, what all did you see and how was it unique and different? Because it is, and I don't think you get a full grasp of it until you get a chance to say, okay, what is this team really about? And I think that's in the offseason, you kind of get a feel for it. But it is different, and it is interesting and fun to be able to go play at unique places and see different things, for sure.
Right. In the past, the road games have been shaky for you guys. What's different about this team where you guys are kind of rolling on these road games?
Kind of back to Willow's question about maybe it's a little bit of maturity. Can you handle that? Can you handle a different locker room? Can you handle the band right behind you, like it was at North Texas, where you couldn't hear anything on the sideline? Can you handle the different situations? I think that's part of the growth, and just kind of putting the blinders on and just focus on what you can. Every road game is going to have its challenges. Obviously, we've been very fortunate, even before I got here under Fuente and Norvell, of the success we've had at home, and we're always going to hang our hat on playing our best football in these home games. But we know what the rest of the schedule lays out, and we're going to have to continue to play well on the road as well.
Joseph obviously made up for his drop with the game winner. Kabir had 2 big drops, but he's also been a key contributor this year. Do you have a conversation with him to try to lift him back up?
Yeah, I think that's part of my job as the head coach. Is it's easy to get down on guys. It's easy. I think some head coaches got themselves in hot water by making comments about their current players publicly to the media. And, man, I tell you guys all the time, like, I make more mistakes than anybody in that building, and I own up to it, and our players own up to it. And I don't need to point out, oh, you did this. They know, but we can show them and get them. And then some guys need a stern, this is how you got to get better, and other guys need a pound the butt, hey, let's go get this thing. You're doing a great job, and affirmation. It's no different than any relationship. I don't care if it's with your girlfriend or with the starting quarterback, right? Different people react to different things, but our guys have been steadfast in their approach. And I think that's why you're able to see ways to win football games, and also the right mentality and the approach to go out there and have a game-winning touchdown catch.
How concerned on a week-to-week basis are you about signing stealing?
It occurs constantly. There's a lot of teams that you can look over and you can sit there and see guys with notebooks watching what you're doing, whether they're preparing for the next year, maybe the next game, next time you see them, or they're going in at halftime, and it occurs all the time. And I can sit there and say, okay, hey, that team right there, they're stealing our signals. Let's change it up. Let's do this. Let's put a different, let's go back to the number board and do those things. So it's occurring all through college football. That's why you see people with the big tarps and people in clown outfits and the 19 different color uniforms all the time.
What have you made of what what's alleged Michigan found?
Here's the deal: anything that crosses the line of cheating, it's unacceptable. An unfair advantage. If we're allowed to sit there and watch television copies, and you got guys up in the office that are able to study things and look at things and take notes on things, or if I personally look over and I say, well, here's what they're doing, fine. That's happening. 95% of college football teams are doing that. But once you cross a certain line, and I made reference, I don't even know if it was a press conference, they're all blended together now, about, in the NFL, right, with one time people accused the Patriots of tapping the headsets, right? One time the Colts got docked a third-round pick for pumping in crowd noise, right? I mean, you just think about all the things. Anytime you cross that line of unfair advantage in between the white lines, I'm against it. Obviously, we do things the right way around here, and so there's always that sportsmanship, the gamesmanship, but I don't ever believe in crossing that line, and it's unfortunate. I've got 1,000 other things to worry about. Again, I think it's, for me, just being focused on South Florida. It's not to be so blind to things that are occurring in society and the world, but you hear about it and people send me stuff that I should be aware of. But I'll sit back like a lot of things in the off season. Okay, how do I need to affect this? Maybe it's the season-ending press conference where I can get a chance to catch up. Well, you guys can send me anything that's occurring, and we can really go in depth on it. But just do it the right way, and I think we'll all be fine.
Well, just curious, do you think football at this level, with how much money is involved in all this, it's kind of silly that there are not mics and helmets?
So that's a great question. I actually got asked that on the radio the other morning by Eli, and part of it is, so it's twofold. I understood, like someone sent me, head coach LSU saying we should at this point. Why don't we? But my argument is, I think having been at Memphis, and we're very fortunate with all the things we have here in college football, and I've been part of it in the NFL where it was. I was part of the NFL when it was still getting the printed off black and white pictures, and you still see where high schools now are getting video replay on their drones and all that. Here's the deal: we put mics and helmets. That's great. Now, who's responsible for that on my staff? Does that mean I go hire 2 more people? Does that mean now two seats on the planner? Now I got to get rid of 2 people that can't travel with me because now I need somebody to handle the headsets upstairs and downstairs? What happens if our headset goes down? Is that my responsibility? Is it if we're the home opponent that we're playing? Is that the conference responsibility? In the NFL, it's easy because you got 32 teams, and every stadium has designated somebody that handles that. It's no different when people ask about the tablets, and I'm all for innovative technology that makes our game better, and I'm not opposed to the mic and the helmet. And it probably helps us, a team that maybe not do it. You hear different, people are pro it, people are against it for different advantageous things on the field. But I'll say, okay, now all of a sudden you do that, then all of a sudden you add tablets. Now, do I then fly 4 people, and does that come out of my budget? Who do I now say, hey, you can't travel with us on the plane because I've got to make sure that these microphones and helmets. So I think there's so many more things that go into it. I just wish a lot of things in college football sometimes get rushed to the forefront. Hey, we got to hurry up and do this. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are very smart that have studied these things, but sometimes it feels like, hey, let's get this done for the bowl game. Man, can we look at that in the spring? Like, I'm just trying to find a way to go 1-0 this week, and but that's where we are, and neither here nor there until we get a chance to test it. And I'm sure a lot of teams will use it. It's going to be very advantageous, and we may be one of them. I just don't have that answer today standing here. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Chris.